music, athletics, arts, and entertainment. The Desert Tiger Podcast with Colton Geschwadner.
Oh, well, hello once again, and welcome to the Desert Tiger Podcast for what is our episode 6. I am your host, Colton Geschwadner, here always on Thursdays. We like to bring you interviews with artists, athletes, authors, all sorts of interesting people. And today on the show, we have Bellevue out of Calgary, Alberta, who are one of the up-and-coming bands in the Canadian alternative music / pop-punk scene. We're very excited to get to our interview with Bellevue, but before we get to that, we have to get to a few other things. And the first thing we have to do is thank you for tuning in to this Thursday, October 26th episode of the show. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get into our song of the day and our artist this week, which is Bellevue from Calgary, Alberta. Bellevue is comprised of Shane Tasker and Cody McManus, the brains who also run Storm the Wall Productions. Bellevue is a newer band that has only started this year and has only actually released one single, Counting Stars, but don't let that fool you. These guys have been coming off hot off of this single and are building a lot of attention through a release that they did with Associated Press for their music video for Counting Stars. The song itself has well over 60,000 listens already, and we are going to have that for you right now, so prepare yourself for Counting Stars by Bellevue out of Calgary, Alberta.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
Welcome to the Desert Tiger Podcast, Bellevue / Storm the Wall. Please introduce yourselves.
Pew, pew, pew. What's up? I'm Shane.
And I'm Cody.
So what exactly do you guys do, like, instrumentationally wise in Bellevue?
I don't play. I just look great. And Code?
I don't look very good, but I play the guitar. And that's, Shane sings, but mainly he just looks good.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
All right. After playing in a couple projects before, you can talk about those if you want as well. What led to the creation of Bellevue?
I think just from like being in bands through high school and even like touring at a smaller level in those bands, we realized that we weren't approaching the music industry in the right way or the scene, and really Bellevue is just a new approach to everything, a new mindset, a new way of doing things, really.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, you guys have got a lot of attention so far, and that's really seems to set you apart from like coming out swinging like your previous project and that I had played with before, and you guys just really have been coming like off that really well.
Yeah, so much of that is just the way that we like brand ourselves and market ourselves, the way we attack the internet and social media, and just like instead of looking at ourselves as like back in bands like Coming Out Swinging or my band Open 24/7, we always were like, oh yeah, we're a shitty local band, you know, and we don't look at ourselves as like a local band anymore. We're a band that plays music, and we're targeting more than just the local scene.
Well, there's a moment when you have to kind of grow up as a musician and grow past the hobby phase and grow into the we actually want to do this phase, and that seems to turn away a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's very much exactly what happened. You know, we had played together quite a bit. We had toured together quite a bit. And once you get touring experience under the belt, it really separates the boys from the men, you know? It sometimes being in a touring band is not what you're cut out for, and that is okay. Everyone is satisfied in totally different ways, and I think Cody and I it proved to Cody and I that we had this drive for something more. You know, we wanted to pursue music a little more seriously, pursue it as a bit more of a business, and apply ourselves to get to where we really saw.
You were a lot more serious than a lot of more local band acts.
Yeah, just totally. Just acts that we'd worked with in the past and circles that we became just a part of. You know, we found ourselves as individuals just a little more serious about the industry.
We've been working on this band for about, over a year now, and we still haven't played a show, right? We're not in a band to play a show every week, you know, and just play as much as we can. It's more about like focusing on our songwriting and recording, and then how we market that music, how we distribute it.
Just the business, how we operate as a business within the industry.
Yeah, and when it comes time to play shows, we're not going to be playing the small little shows at, I don't even know, just like tiny little venues, right?
We'll be ready. We'll be ready for we'll be ready for the gig.
You're gonna come out swinging in a different way,
so to speak.
Yeah, I like it.
So to speak.
All right. So where does the name Bellevue originate from?
Man,
naming stuff is so tough.
So tough.
Anyone who's tried to name a business or a project or a brand, you know, it is difficult to find something that maybe means something to you or maybe doesn't, that's not taken by anybody else.
Yeah.
So, so we had a real hard time. Bellevue was but a word on many lists of things that we had come up with.
Yeah, we had a list of like 30 names. I wanted to name our band Portland after the city in the States, but there's already a band called Portland. They're doing like all right.
So you went with the city in Washington instead then?
Yeah, city in Washington. That's actually how I found it. I was sitting in the shower, which I know sounds weird, on my phone. It's a long story.
We'll get to that later.
Best thinking place,
we'll
right?
Revisit
shower thoughts are the best place to think.
Yeah, but it's more about... Yeah, anyways. But yeah, I saw Bellevue, and I was like, yo, there's a place I'm from Southern Alberta, from Lethbridge, and there's a place in the Crow's Nest Pass also called Bellevue.
Okay.
Which kind of like... I spent a lot of time in the Crow's Nest Pass as a kid, and I was like, Bellevue, it just sounds dope. In French, it means beautiful view. So, like, when you watch us play music, if you turn around and look the other way, you'll see that.
Or if you just stare at me, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So, what is your guys' writing process like?
Usually, it goes a couple of ways. Like, I'll write a piano demo or, like, record some terrible scratched guitar on my phone. And I'll be like, hey, Cody, you need to make this into a song. And Cody has a pretty vast engineering background, I'd say. I also went to school for audio engineering, so, our songwriting goes well that way. We're able to sit down and compose as just two members of a band. But Cody has the engineering background. As I said, I'll present him a skeleton, an idea, and we very much produce it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We have a very, like, individualistic approach to it, where, like, one of us will kind of have, like, a vision for a song or an idea or some words, and it's just a small idea. And as soon as we come together, we bang something out just like that. And it's amazing how quickly it'll turn around. We just finished doing drums on some upcoming stuff, and all that entire process was done together, obviously, because neither of us are, like, drummers per se.
Yeah.
But it starts with a single idea, very individualistic. Like, I don't know if that's a word. Is that a word?
I don't know. We'll keep using it.
Individualistic. I like it.
It's a word now. We'll use it enough that they'll have to make it one.
Yeah, for real.
Jamie, can we get a clarification? Can you look that up for us? Individualistic? Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not a word.
Pretty sure it's not a word, but we'll make it one at the end of this day.
Word.
Cool.
Yeah, everything ends up coming together in the end, and we both work on everything side by side. So it's strange. It starts, like, very soloistic, and then it ends up being, like, a team effort by the end, for sure.
It's a word.
Hey!
According to dictionary.com.
There we
That's not
go.
Oxford Dictionary, so it's not the same level.
All right.
We'll take it.
Individualistic. You guys just learned a new word from listening to Desert Tiger.
Absolutely.
All right, so you guys mentioned your engineering background. How much, like, engineering background do you actually have? Like, what is your experience?
I went to university for 4 years and got a degree majoring in digital audio. I mean, that's not necessarily experience, but in terms of experience, this year alone, I've worked with artists who've put out one full-length record, a 12-track, a few EPs, and I'm really looking forward. A band from Calgary is going to be putting out a single very soon. Us at Storm the Wall, we're fortunate enough to record the song, produce the song, and then shoot a music video for it.
Ooh.
It's our first music video.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
We're really proud of the way it turned out.
it's unbelievable. I couldn't be more proud of it. Honestly, it's like I'm almost more proud than the Bellevue stuff that we've worked on, just because we worked so. It's almost like we're part of the band. We became the fifth
So
and
closely.
sixth members of this band, and I'm so excited to share this with the world. Well, Bellevue's kind of not doing very much right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good that you guys are staying active in the music scene. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a take with Storm the Wall, It's very much staying involved in the scene and making sure we are a part of the local market. As Cody had mentioned earlier in the episode, Bellevue's target isn't local Calgary anymore.
yeah.
And that is not to say that we're not around in the scene. Storm the Wall definitely gives us an outlet to work hands-on with clients within the market and just stay within the scene, stay connected, keep friends, really good friends that we've met in bands and played with in bands in Calgary. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Storm the Wall definitely gives us that outlet.
All right, well, I'll ask you a little bit more about Storm the Wall later on, but keep on the Bellevue train for now. You
Yeah,
guys
for
mentioned that you're not really drummers, so do you guys use session musicians for your Bellevue stuff, or?
In terms of the recording process, no, we do it all ourselves.
Okay.
We're pretty vast in our instrumentation in what we can do.
Yeah, both a bit of background, like I don't know. Yeah, we're confident in our abilities, I'd say, to put together the drums within the tunes. As far as live stuff, we haven't gotten there.
Of course.
But
Of course.
for the music video, we did end up obviously having to perform as a live band. And so we got our friends from Alone I Walk. They're from Winnipeg, definitely a part of one of Colton's previous episodes, so check that out. So we had the guys in Alone I Walk, our good friends Frankie and Pascal. They came over and really, really helped out. They are almost low-key the third and fourth members of Bellevue, along with a good friend of ours from Calgary, Braden Reel, and he's from a guy we met playing in bands on the local market, on the local scene, and he strapped on a bass guitar and acted as a shadowy figure on, I think it was stage right.
The silhouette.
It was a good time, So absolutely, Colton, for live performance, for something a little further down the line, sure. The idea would be that Cody and I will approach the music industry and hopefully be assigned session musicians to be able to tour at the level we project touring at, until we organically find people that fit, people that make sense with Cody and I and the brand and what we do. So we just keep trucking as two until then.
Well, hopefully everything falls together and you find the pieces to the puzzle.
Truth.
So let's talk about that first single, Counting Stars, which is actually getting you guys a lot of attention so far.
It's done really well.
Yeah, what is the meaning behind the song to you, and how well has the song done? Like, you guys had it released by...
Alternative Press.
Alternative Press.
Yeah, man, I'm shocked. I just checked earlier, actually. It's at 58,000 views on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's awesome that we were able to work with Alternative Press and have them premiere it worldwide. That was awesome.
Shout out to Alternative Press. Whoop whoop.
Yeah,
for
it
real.
set us apart from our previous releases. I would say it set us apart from the local market. It did exactly what we wanted it to do, teaming up with a brand as big as Alternative Press, is recognized as Alternative Press. It was just an opportunity for us to associate ourselves with a name that people were familiar with. We put out the single, and it turned heads. It did exactly, as I said, what we wanted it to do. So
yeah,
that's
and
good.
we knew that we'd reach our friends and other musicians within the Canadian scene that we've played with.
Yeah.
You put out new music, people are going to listen to it.
Of course.
But we wanted to attack people that we didn't know, that we couldn't send a message to and be like, hey, listen to our new song.
Yeah.
So Alternative Press really helped us reach thousands of people that we would have never been able to target.
Well, that's good. That really helps set the bar high right off the bat, and
For real.
yeah, it lets you guys really come out swinging once again.
You really like that.
Oh, I do. I love it. It's probably the last time I'll use it, though.
No.
It's not.
Place your bets.
We're gonna go.
Placing bets right now, $20. I'll go for it. Okay, so how about the lyrical content for Counting Stars? Does it have any specific meaning to you, or?
Yeah, so as I said earlier with our songwriting process, Counting Stars was one that I brought the idea to the table. It's very interesting. That was actually the first song that Shane and I ever really worked on together. Ever.
Okay.
Bellevue wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even in the talks. We were still playing another band, so that's super cool. Lyrical content behind it is when a girlfriend breaks up with you. Well, I guess she's no longer your girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's just a girl. A few months go by, and you start hanging out again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where the lyrics quit playing games with me this time. I don't want to be toyed with. It's just not having that closure. Never letting it go. And yeah, that's kind of what the song has to do with. I'd have to read through the lyrics, and I could probably give you a line-for-line thing, but I don't know off the top of my head.
It's
that in
super
depth,
interesting, as Cody said, it was a very individualistic process when he brought that tune to the table. I obviously wasn't attached to the words in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And as the performer of as the frontman, as the singer, the vocalist on the record of these lyrics, I really needed to try to find something
Yeah.
to try to convey that kind of emotion in the words.
Well,
and
you need to feel it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the love story is very relative. I think losing someone is something that everyone can relate to, whether it's a loved one or a friend, in any manner of speaking. Relationships come to an end. You get close with people, and then you drift apart. And I think that's the journey that everyone goes on in life. And so it's something that's super relatable.
Yeah, sort of like off track, but I find it very interesting. You wrote the second verse in that song, and back to like our songwriting process is that like I wrote the lyrics throughout, but then Shane can jump in and like get the idea of like where I'm going with it and write a verse that's very relevant.
That fits
song.
in with
I
the
forget-
feel and adds his own feel so that he can actually grasp onto his own energy and bring it out within the song.
Exactly, and it's weird. Like I forget that, like you just forget who writes what eventually,
Yeah,
right?
it's
It's just a song. You listen to it enough times, and you're like, this is just a song. But thinking back on it, it's crazy that like we can like co-write with each other, and it all makes sense in the end.
You guys have a really good dynamic, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
we a good team.
Yeah, good teams. Whoop whoop.
Weak high fives, good team though.
Yeah, we'll work on that. That was left-handed for me.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So how about the video for Counting Stars? Was there anything like specific you were trying to get across with it? Like who did you work with? Like tell me about it.
The message? Any message that you thought before the video?
No, I
It's
just
like
I wanted.
I find that like by showing the other members as like a silhouette, it really like tries to introduce the fans to who
Definitely.
you guys are
That-
off the start.
Very well done, Colton. Up top for that, man. Absolutely. When we were thinking about the idea of the music video and Cody and I being kind of the performing figures in the music video, most of what you see in the video, and every once in a while you get this cutaway of obviously the fill-in sound. You hear a full band, there is a full performance going on, and every once in a while, as I said, you get this cutaway of a silhouette or a figure that fills in the rest of that band. That absolutely was kind of something that we had taken into account. We teamed up with an amazing videographer from here in Calgary. His name is Miguel Argon. He works out of the Hut Studios. Look him up. He's unreal.
Shout out Hut Studios. Whoop, whoop.
Shout out Hut Studios, absolutely. He's actually an old family friend of mine, and we hadn't spoken for quite a few years. We kind of lost touch, and we reconnected over this music video. So it was really, really cool to get together and get involved that way. A bit more of a personal dynamic. I think Miguel was really on board from an early stage to get into this project with us and really team up. We honestly said to him, we don't have any video background. Give us your thoughts and ideas. You know, like we weren't very picky, and he did an amazing job. You know,
so good.
The video came out. We got nothing but great positive feedback on his cinematography, on his work with the video. Yeah, he's truly talented dude.
So good. He blew my mind and he's so fast. We shot on like, I don't know what day of the week it was, but we shot at 11 a.m. We were done by 4, and we had the first draft back by midnight. Dude works fast, efficient, and the quality is just
and even
amazing.
like, you know, he's super professional. Like, I remember showing up, and he showed up with a team, and they knew what piece of gear they were running for the day and what they needed to do for him, and it was just, you know, it was go. I think it took us half an hour to get the room set, and then it was performance shots until 4 o'clock, you know. We had guys dropping out for puke breaks. We were, you know, it was like boot camp, you know. The dude drives hard. Mm-hmm. It was super cool. Definitely a great experience, a great dynamic for our first music video shoot. We'll definitely go back to Miguel to work with him again.
Fantastic. I'm glad that you guys found somebody that you're comfortable with using and someone who could actually present the band in a good manner.
Yeah, it's interesting too. He's from a rap background,
really?
So he shoots a lot of like rap music videos.
Huh.
And yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. He was like, man, like I don't really work on this kind of stuff, but I really like the song, and it's very interesting. Instead of having like that pop punk looking movie kind of, not movie, like not motion, jittery. I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking.
I know what you mean. Yeah, a very like shaky style, you know, like a very aggressive cut style. He just approached it with a very different way, you know. Even from our very first meeting with Miguel, we sat down with him and we hit play on the song, and obviously like there's the drum build up, and then like it comes in with the tune and the guitar riff, and like Cody and I, like started moving with the drums and like started moving the way that we hear the tune from like an alternative background. And Miguel was straight with that kick drum. He was like, yeah, and he was bopping his head and giving it the nasty face, and he just like fully into it from a different listener's perspective. It was awesome to see, and the result, I think we couldn't have asked for anything better. As I said, check out Miguel at the Hut Studios. He's sweet.
All right, so before we get into Storm the Wall, I need to ask you, is there anything you can tell me about the future of Bellevue?
Yeah, we're just tracking a few songs right now, like 5 or so, and
just a couple, no big deal.
Yeah, and they will be ready for the new year, and that's what else can we say about it?
Yeah, what I've been saying to people is Bellevue will continue to push the single. We'll continue to push our debut. We're gonna shop the products that we come up with right now. We're really, really proud of what we're working on. I can honestly say that it is some of the like most close to home material I've ever worked on. It's definitely some of the most hours and like work that we've ever put into a project.
Yeah.
And so we don't want, like with Counting Stars, we worked on the single for a year before we released it. We don't want to jump the gun with what we're working on right now. And so you will get new material very, very soon, but we want to make sure that it is handled in the right way. TBC on that.
Yeah. Well, you can't let it out too early, or else you can possibly rob the fans of what the potential of the songs actually could be, right?
Yeah, for real. These songs, man, there's this one song we've been working on, and we cut half of the second verse, and just the other day we were playing through it, and it's still so new to us without that verse. We keep playing it, and we keep messing up. So obviously it still like doesn't feel quite right to us, but we're going to keep working on them and get them there.
Well, sometimes it takes a couple tries to get it down, right?
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
All right, Shane and Cody, I still have a couple more questions to ask you, mainly about what are your inspirations in life and in music, who your guilty pleasures were back in high school, your favorite artists, and we're going to ask you a little bit about the touring / promoting / everything, I guess, company that you do, Storm the Wall. So I'm looking very forward to that, but before we get into that, we need to get into our book suggestion of the week, which we do here every Thursday on the podcast. And this week, our book is The Gilded Chain by Dave Duncan. Before we tell you a little bit about The Gilded Chain by Dave Duncan, we have to tell you about how can you put your books forward for a suggestion. Do you have something that you've read recently that really caught your eye and think that the Desert Tiger podcast audience might be interested in, or even just myself? We love getting your suggestions here, and you can send them to desert.tiger.podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at Desert Tiger Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Desert Tiger Entertainment, and you can send us a message there. Or you can tag us in your spooky Halloween costumes, or DM us on Instagram at Desert Tiger Podcast. That is Desert_Tiger_podcast on Instagram. And once again, if you tag us in your costume pictures, we will give you a shout out next week on our Halloween episode, next Tuesday the 31st, or on our Thursday episode next week. That's right, we have 2 episodes next week. But we will get a little further into who those are going to be very soon. Okay, so The Gilded Chain by Dave Duncan is a fantasy novel that sees young rebellious boys being turned into a refuge called Iron Hall. This is where the boys are trained in the arts of fencing and different types of swordplay, as well as how to be a guardian and a gentleman. These young men are bound to the king or anyone he chooses by a magic ritual in which the individual, the ward who is being protected, runs a sword through the heart of their guardian, their blade, as it is put inside of the novel. The story revolves around Sir Durandal, who spends his time trying to become one of the greatest blades inside the school, only to be bound to a worthless ward who has absolutely no need for protection. This ends up leading a series of backdoor deals, and black witchcraft leads Durandal to having to protect his ward from his fellow blades, and the story goes on from there in what is a very, very bad twist for Sir Durandal, and eventually sees him becoming one of the greatest blades of all time. I enjoy this book very much, and I hope that you will too. It is something I read back in high school and once again am reading again. I found it a very interesting read by Dave, and I think it is very well written. The character of Durandal is very well done. The description in the novel is very, very miraculous. It's done very, very nicely. And I hope that you enjoy The Gilded Chain by Dave Duncan. Alright, that's all we have for our book suggestion of the week this week on the Desert Tiger Podcast. So without waiting any longer, let's get back into our interview with Bellevue.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
Okay, so you guys also run Storm the Wall on your time outside of Bellevue and your other lives. Yeah. So what exactly is Storm the Wall, and what kind of services do you offer?
So, like, outside of Bellevue, I work a full-time job at Crate and Barrel. Shout out Crate and Barrel. But, you know, like, outside of all of that, we basically try to fuel Bellevue and everything that we do. We try to, like, the house that we live in, we try to fuel what we do with Storm the Wall Productions. It's something that started out on the local Calgary music scene, through the trials and tribulations of everything that we have learned as artists. You know, lots of mistakes made, lots of late nights and lessons learned. And so I think what Storm the Wall brings to the table is just an opportunity to work with a couple of dudes that aren't, you know, too much further ahead than anyone on the local music scene as far as what we can offer them. You know, we can offer someone exactly what they need. For a long time, we've been shooting shows for photography. We've been offering bands, like local bands, photo stuff. We'll shoot video here and there. As we'd said, we just worked on the biggest video project that we've worked on in a long time. And we're super proud of the way it's come out, you know, and I think the client is also super proud of the way it's come out. We do a bunch of graphic design stuff on the back end, and I think some of our biggest services lie in, like, our audio and our touring that we offer to clients. You know, we own a touring rig. We rent that out to clients who will book tours and drive those tours, and basically tour manage those tours and shoot photo, video, and do all the things that go along with being on the road.
Help the bands on social media because it gives them photos and helps the fans actually feel like you're right there with them and interacting with them.
Yeah,
totally. I think
present
themselves.
Our early days in touring, we had maybe done a couple of tours that were total write-offs in the sense that they weren't documented properly, and they weren't handled properly, and they weren't as efficient as they could have been. And as I said before, just learning from mistakes made, and being able to offer other people, you know, some of the advice that we may have on the industry. I know Cody is the big audio guy. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, with the touring and everything we do, it's just so much from what we've learned. We've been fortunate enough to do a ton as, like, young musicians prior to Bellevue, and we learn every time we go and do something. We learn from it, and we offer our knowledge basically to the rest of the local scene. I've actually started doing the audio thing full time through Storm the Wall.
Okay,
that's my full time job. Is I record bands.
Yeah.
So
impressive.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm working on a few songs for a buddy right now. I got a couple more projects lined up for the end of the year, but it's so fun to be. I love music. I love creating music. I really like audio engineering music. So I just love being able to be like that fifth or that sixth member of a band almost, right? You never have to let the creativity die musically.
Add into them and like kind of give suggestions to them and
Totally. This one that I'm working on right now, I'm doing all the lead guitar on it. Just
wow.
super cool. So I'm the lead guitar player in that band for a couple weeks.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sick.
All right, so what is some of the roster that you've worked with? Who are some of the artists on your...
Oh, God.
I think going back to Alone I Walk, Alone I Walk is one of the earlier Storm the Wall projects, as well as like White Chocolate Thunder, one of the earlier Storm the Wall projects. You know, those are two huge ones. I think the earliest Storm the Wall project would be Coming Out Swinging.
Yeah.
You guys shouted him out before I did.
Throw back to Coming Out Swinging, right? Like that's what started this thing. I went to school briefly to study audio engineering so that I could come out of school and we could put out a record. And we needed something to call it. So Storm the Wall Productions was a name I'd been sitting on for a little while. Storm the Wall. I knew that Storm the Wall sounded cool.
It's got a very aggressive.
Yeah, the domain. The domain is
You're
owned,
attacking
and
the
they
industry.
wanted a lot of money for it. So I was like, "Ooh, that's got to be good." So yeah, totally. Yeah, so we rolled with it, man. Like Storm the Wall started, and we've worked with a lot of people.
Every Ounce.
Yeah, Chris.
They just put out a single a couple days ago.
Okay.
Chris Goodfellow. He has a second EP coming out. We've recorded 3. I don't know if I'm allowed to say we've recorded 3, but he's only released 1 so far. So there's so much music backlogged there. Another dude actually from Calgary, his name's Tanner Sear.
Yes.
Okay.
We put out his first full
Full-length album.
Well, actually, it's his second length. The first one I've worked on. We put that out in September, and we're going back into studio in November to work on his third, my second with him. So that'll be a big one. That's any like pop music fans. What kind of music? I don't even
It's like
know.
pop rock for sure.
Pop rock,
Definitely
yeah.
check out Tanner for sure.
Yeah, and WCT, White Chocolate Thunder. They're oh man, they're fun.
Yeah, White Chocolate Thunder are like some of our best friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Like easily like some of our best friends, and in the music scene as well. You know, like we've spent a lot of time on the road with those dudes. Like we've grown extremely close to them.
Too close.
Yeah, and it's awesome. You know, we're able to work with White Chocolate Thunder on pretty much most of what they do.
Yeah.
Yesterday Tanner called me 4 times, the drummer from White Chocolate Thunder. Not to like, hey man, you want to hang out, but like music related stuff, just about shows, about releases. So yeah, that just shows you the involvement that we have in their project. It's absolutely insane. Just again, the like 5th and 6th member of their band, like literally
at any
with
point
them,
in time, you can be sitting there and you'll get like a little guitar demo, the same way I'd send Cody a Bellevue demo.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll quickly get one of theirs. You know, so
Yeah.
it's really really interesting. Like, what do you think about this? You know, so it really is that 5th and 6th member of the band, that second set of eyes. It's really fun.
Well, that's it, and having someone with a little bit of an audio engineering background to give you a background check on your material also helps for sure.
Totally. Yeah. We finally started working with them and with their audio.
Okay.
And it's gonna be good when it finally hits the market.
Their first single through Storm the Wall Productions is about to come out, and it's a long time coming. We've been looking to release audio with White Chocolate Thunder for a long time, so y'all get stoked about this. It's going to be big. It's going to be really, really
Actually,
good.
yeah, I believe with the day that this podcast should go live, I think they would have just announced the single 2 days ago.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
I think October 24th is the announcement date. So,
Boom.
Awesome.
hopefully that has
Yay.
happened and we ain't
Boom.
just dropping
Boom.
some stuff.
Hopefully we are co-aligning this very well then.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have mentioned that you've been on the road with quite a few bands and also by yourselves. Do you guys have any road stories you could possibly share with us?
Oh man, the road is tolling. You forget everything that happens almost instantaneously. Yeah, we've been fortunate the past 2 years to go out to Electric Love Music Festival.
Shout out to Electric Love. Love those guys myself too.
Yeah, so awesome. Past 2 summers we've toured out there, had a blast. We've been fortunate enough to stay there like all weekend and see all the crazy bands. Just so far out of like our genre, so it's cool to experience a festival totally different.
I think I actually borrowed your bass rig.
That
At Electric
happened.
Love.
That 100% happened.
Yeah, that totally did, because
Oh, wow.
mine was falling apart.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's where we would have first met.
That is
actually.
exactly
That was
where we
Electric
first
Love.
met. Holy, shout out to Electric Love for making this connection happen.
Yeah, for
Whoa.
bringing people together.
Bringing
I think,
people
and
together
that's,
in the best
that's one of
way.
the coolest things about not necessarily just Electric Love, but touring and being on the road in general. I think it's super cool to be outside of your immediate network and meet like-minded people and make friends and have all of these experiences to bring home with you. Because it's something that people that are on the road maybe take for granted or maybe forget about, but that's so outside of the day-to-day. It's so outside of what everybody else sees. When you're just working at home.
Yeah.
You know, you're like working your 7-day work week or whatever it is. You know, being on the road and taking all that experience and bringing it home, even just having that experience is so valuable. So I think I love the road.
Well, meeting
I
new
really love
people
it.
too and getting experiences from them.
Meeting new people. My hands down best tour moment was the first tour we ever booked, the Coming Out Swinging tour. The first night, we drove all the way to Winnipeg, and we lost lights on our trailer. It came disconnected, and we rolled into Winnipeg at 2 a.m. And it was cold. There were mosquitoes everywhere, and I got out of the van, and I met this beautiful man. His name's Pascal. He plays in a band called Alone I Walk. And immediately he's like, oh, let me go get my tools. And we laid under the van for 45 minutes, fixed the lights, went inside. He said, hey, man, you want a beer? I said, we're best friends.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you guys met under the van that night.
met under the
Really,
van that
really-
night. And literally, we've become best friends. It's amazing. I was fortunate enough to tour with them back in April with Alone I Walk. Yeah, hopefully some big stuff to come with us
Yes.
and them.
Absolutely. Touring with them again in the future from some very, very big stuff there.
They actually mentioned that you might also be a part of an upcoming secret.
Yeah, we're working on a secret together. I mean, with all secrets, hopefully they work.
Hopefully.
That's why they're still secrets, is because nothing's confirmed. But
Absolutely.
pending confirmation, it'll be sick.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really am looking forward to that myself, and
Tight.
love the Alone I Walk guys. They gave me a great interview and let me crash at their place back when I was in Winnipeg. So whoop whoop, Alone I Walk.
How beautiful is their place?
Oh my!
Yeah, it's like a little piece of paradise, right?
Lord.
It's
Just
like,
right off in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, in the middle of nowhere. You
Just
would never
this
expect it, but
paradise.
my God.
Just a paradise with a llama and like the friendliest
See, we
dog
didn't
ever.
get the. I didn't get the llama. Have you met their llama?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
The
I haven't
donkey.
been there recently.
Oh, the donkey. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a donkey. That's what it is.
But
yeah,
still,
the donkey's so cool.
Beautiful. The little lake they got.
Oh yeah,
the
they
little
got their
beach.
own little beach there. Like,
It's cool. Yeah, if y'all are ever through Winnipeg, hit up Frankie and Pascal. Go hang out with them. They are beautiful people. Their family is beautiful.
Let Mama Corcel cook for you. My goodness.
I didn't get that
Oh,
opportunity,
my
unfortunately.
Oh, she's good. She's good.
Maybe next time I'm through Winnipeg, I might have to ask for a hookup on that one.
There we go.
So, being on the road a lot, you usually need comfort items, right? So, what is your tour must-have?
Coffee and energy drink.
Yeah.
Like, was that what you were gonna say?
No,
Oh
no.
wow, yeah, that's my thing. Is like Cody drives. I co-pilot. I don't drive.
Okay.
He's a legend for doing it all, but to stay awake in the passenger seat of a vehicle for a long time takes two things: lots of caffeine and lots of music. And so
Oh, it's so much. Probably the biggest comfort item is music. You'll realize if you do like an East Coast tour and you live in the West Coast, you'll realize halfway out to the East Coast you're out of music.
yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Like, diversify. Listen to some other shit, y'all. You guys gotta have a bank of songs to fall back on tour, for sure.
You thought 2 days worth of music was enough on your iPod, and
And, you know, it's so neat. You hand around the aux cord, and you,
You get to know somebody through the aux cord.
It's like you get to know what kind of music they listen to
Totally.
and like where their influences come
Yeah,
from.
you ever
for
sitting?
sure.
Well, I don't know. I take the train a lot around Calgary. Shout out public transit.
Public
and-
transit.
You ever sitting on the train? And like I'm the dude that sits on the train and is like bopping, like drumming. I even I sing a lot of harmonies out loud. Thank you to anyone who stopped me and told me I have a nice voice. You mean the world. But I think it's always cool. You're sitting there, and you're like, I wonder what they're listening to, or I wonder what that person over there is listening to, and you hand around the aux cord on tour,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is what they were listening to, oh my god, you have no idea until someone plugs their phone in and hits play. What people, what people are tuned into. It's really really
exactly.
cool.
Like you're touring in a pop punk band and you hand someone the chord and suddenly they're playing Florence Welsh and
Yeah. Or you're listening to the Beach Boys. It's like you never know what someone's just got on their iPod ready for a good time.
Or when we toured with Mostly Wanted, and what was that CD they had stuck in that van that would not come out? That's all we listened to.
Oh my god,
Oh,
Vanga Boys.
yeah.
And they only had the Vanga Boys album in this van.
what else do you need?
And so for a lot of the time we drive with the tunes off. We just drive and keep each other company and hang out, and every once in a while it'd be like, Kate, music? Yep. And it was just every time it was the only music in this van, but it's really fun.
It was sick. We were fortunate enough to also be touring with White Chocolate Thunder, who was just an absolute riot 100% of the time. And there were crazy dance parties. I think there's a video on the internet somewhere of us in Vancouver. We played the Roxy, and there's just a big circle of dancing to
Yeah,
Boys.
they were as if we haven't listened to it enough.
Yeah.
And they turned on the van in the parking lot and cranked it, and we're all dancing and stuff. A
Parking
riot
lot parties.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Parking lot parties, where
real.
it's at. Okay, so when did you guys start playing music?
My parents bought me an acoustic guitar when I was 10 years old, and I started doing lessons around that time too. So I'd say that's when I officially started playing music.
Okay.
The first time I owned an instrument.
Yeah, I will never forgive myself for quitting piano lessons, but shout out to my mother and father for forcing me to bike up the hill every Monday night when I was a kid to go to Susanna's house and learn to play the piano, So when I was young, it was maybe I was 10, right around when Cody started playing as well. I was also competing in musical theater at the time, and doing Royal Conservatory vocal training as well. So a little bit of background, right around that age, 10, 11, 12. And it all just kind of came from there, man.
Awesome. So, who were your idols growing up? Who were your inspirations? Who did you gush over?
I remember being probably 8 to 12 years old, and all I listened to was pop punk of those times. So I owned every Green Day CD.
Nice.
I was super into Sum 41. Blink 182, who eventually became my favorite band for a long time. I wasn't crazy into them, but I listened to them. I didn't dislike them. I remember in grade 3, my buddy called me up before I owned the internet, and well, you don't own the internet, but you have the internet.
Yeah.
I saw that look. You're shut up. And yeah, my buddy called me up.
I own
He's
the internet.
Can you own the
Technically,
internet?
Shaw, so my boy Shaw owns the internet, so you're going to have to take that up with him.
Okay, yeah, I'll give him a call.
Shout out to Shaw.
But yeah, my buddy gave me a call and he's like, dude, you got to check out Much Music. Blink 182's new song, Miss You. Their music video just came out. So I was super into that style of music, and nothing has really changed. I'd never say I had an idol per se, but it was definitely those bands.
Yeah, I don't know. I've listened to... My mother is as eccentric as I am. So when I was growing up, I listened to everything under the sun, very heavily influenced by Motown. Big R&B background for myself. If you have my girlfriend on Snapchat, you have probably gotten a video of me singing some Chris Brown or something like that. Huge R&B background in my corner. Of course, growing up, I always loved bands like Kiss, bands that could rock out and put on a show, and I was actually fortunate enough to see Kiss live.
Oh, what?
And
Nice.
Allison and I went down for our first Warped Tour to the White River Amphitheater in Auburn. And the day after, Kiss just happened to be playing the White River Amphitheater. So we bought, tickets up on the grassy knoll at the very top of the amphitheater, and we sat on the back end. Now, I say the back end, like the opposite end of our end. The back end of the Rocky Mountains. And watched the sunset on the Rockies while Kiss played on this stage, shot fireworks into the crowd and stuff. It's super cool. So a whole bunch of influences for me, man, all over the place for sure.
I grew up a huge Metallica fan. My dad loved Metallica, and I was super young, just bumping Metallica all the time.
Nice.
So
My
that's-
dad also had me going on the same thing.
That
so-
explains your vocal range.
Does it?
Right down there.
That's funny.
do you
No, not really. Shane just makes fun of me because I can't sing as high as him.
A lot of people can, so I
No,
can't
nobody
blame-
can. It's stupid.
I can't blame you there. So, what are you guys' interests outside of music?
Coffee and video games. And my family. I spend a lot of time drinking coffee, playing video games. Overwatch mostly right now. If you play Xbox, add me up.
Xbox
Shano,
One?
SHANOJT, Shano JT. Let me beat your ass at Overwatch, girl. My family. I spend a lot of time with my family. I love them dearly. That's my thing.
Yeah, mine's not as cool. I spend a lot of time sitting on my computer, playing guitar for bands, and working on their music. I've been watching The Office lately. That's sick. I never watched The Office before. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's so good.
I
Does
need
that
to get
laugh
into
track?
that.
Do they have a laugh track on that?
No.
Oh, tight.
No.
That's all right.
No laugh track. That's what makes it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You
I
can
ain't
laugh at
about-
your own jokes, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man. I can laugh at my own jokes.
What else was I gonna say? There was something else you were mentioning. Oh, I've been watching football lately.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Super weird. I played football in high school. You wouldn't think it by looking at me, but I started watching football lately. I just put it on while I'm working on shit. It's just something to take a break. I get sore on my computer for hours.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't eat, so it'll remind me, hey, just watch football for 15 minutes.
Yeah, he
and
has
eat
some crazy
food.
bondage shoulder brace that keeps his shoulders sprawled out. That if you just barge in here unannounced, you'll catch him in this crazy bondage shoulder brace. He'll be like, "Hello," it's pretty wacky.
It's not.
Hello, I got this in the sex show.
Okay, well now all the secrets are out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we know that you like to dress up in leather now, and we know that Halloween
around the
is
corner.
coming up pretty soon. So, what were your best costumes when you were a child, and did you have any
I wasn't
awesome
ready for
costumes when
this.
you were an adult?
Costumes. man.
Costumes.
Okay, I got a real good one. When I was 17, so that's pretty late to go trick or treating.
Yeah,
I went trick
course.
I went trick or treating. I was in grade 12, and it was super cold because we live in Canada, so that sucks. But Canada's pretty dope. But it's cold during Halloween, and I went as a snowboarder, so I wore my winter jacket and a toque. And I was in high school. I probably shouldn't have went. Ended up going to so trick or treating. There's this girl's house, or these girls were there. I don't know whose house it was, and they gave us a thing of tin foil and a potato and some other stuff. And I was like, this is lame. But my buddy who I was with, he's 18. He had a potato gun in his car, shoots potatoes. So he's like, yo, do you have more potatoes? And they're like, yeah. They're like, okay, we'll be back in 15 minutes. So we went and drove back to their house with the potato gun and launched potatoes off their deck. And that was a pretty good Halloween. And I went as a snowboarder because that was the easiest costume I could find.
Because it was warm.
Because it was warm. And I got candy. I have a strange obsession with candy. It's not
Oh,
strange.
hey, I went trick-or-treating in every high school year, so I don't blame you at all.
Nice.
Because
Tight.
candy is where it's at.
For real. For real.
You know what? I absolutely love Halloween. I don't have any crazy Halloween costumes. I guess I got to shout out to my girlfriend on this one. A couple of years back when that Maleficent movie came out with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
So Allison does this bomb Maleficent costume. It's crazy. is scary good. It's like little Filipino Maleficent going off. It's tight. And like, so one year I was also a Maleficent, like a boy more fairy, I guess you could say. And it was pretty cool, you know, like I had the horns and like we did my face makeup, some nice contour, so I had the cheek. It was a cool, we were like a badass little couple of more fairies. We went to a show. That's neat.
Pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other good Halloween stories or?
Okay, yeah, I got one more. I was in grade 8. I was trick or treating with some buddies, and my parents also really like candy, and so they like my dad would be like, "Yeah, here, like bring your stuff back, go out get more," and he keeps sending me like he'd help me strategize. I'd go trick or treating for like 4 or 5 hours. It was insane. I remember having candy till like February. But anyways, so one time I was out trick-or-treating, me and some buddies, and these guys were like having a party, and so they didn't have candy, but they gave us a beer. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? So I like go home, and I drop off like my candy bag, and then my parents go through it because they love candy, and I got in trouble because I had a beer. I was like, this guy gave me a beer, and they didn't believe me, which I couldn't believe.
Well, where else were you going to get it from?
I didn't lie to my parents, so I don't know what that was all about. But so that was cool, but also kind of lame. I didn't get in trouble. It's just a beer.
Dad, you're not broke enough to drink Calgary beer.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff.
All right. I think that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. So thank you for joining us.
I just forgot. I also really like to play pool. That's a good pastime of mine.
Nice.
So if anybody like wants to duel me, I'm so down.
If anyone wants to get sharked while Storm the Wall or Bellevue is kicking around your town,
if
give
we're
Cody
on
a
tour,
shout.
hit me up. I would love to go play some pool really quick.
He'll shark you for a little bit of your money, and if you win his, he'll try and sell you some merch.
Oh yeah,
That's
real.
a good deal.
That's a really good deal.
Wow, thank you, Colton.
Why?
Shout out Desert Tiger for giving us great merchandising strategies.
Well, hopefully they work out for you guys. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast
a handshake.
today.
You can't see this, but we're shaking hands.
Shaking hands like professionals. We'll give you high fives too. Just
Up top, you can hear that one.
Oh, better than before. Fantastic. As you can no doubt tell, there was more than enough high fives and handshakes going around for everybody involved. So huge shout out to Shane and Cody of Bellevue and Storm the Wall Productions for joining us here on the podcast this Thursday, the 26th of October. We hope you enjoyed the episode as well, and if you did, please feel free to rate and review us on iTunes. You can also find us on Google Play Music and on the Stitcher app, which you can download on your phone. Nice and easy, lemon squeezy. So there you go. You can also find us on Facebook at Desert Tiger Entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Desert Tiger Pod. And you can find us on Instagram at Desert_Tiger_podcast. You can also email us here at the podcast at desert.tiger.podcast@gmail.com with either your song of the day suggestions, that is sending in a description of your band and a link to your song, and if I enjoy it, we'll throw you on one of the shows in which we do not have a musical guest. Or you can send us your book suggestions so that we can give them to the fellow listeners of the Desert Tiger podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today on Thursday, October the 26th. I hope you had a fantastic time listening to the show, and I hope you have an even better weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a good week up until next Tuesday, where we have Noah Picton, quarterback of the University of Regina Rams.
The Desert Tiger Podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Thanks for listening.